Hey guys, welcome back to part two. The first part of the series was to provide some context, give you guys some basic concepts to sort of begin to wrap your head around. Part two, we're going to start today, is all about, putting those pieces into practice, okay? I understand that, not all of us can go out and row 10K, 10,000 meters in a row. So we're going to start off pretty light, pretty low distance. Today's workout is, between 2,000 meters and 2,500 meters, something in that range, okay? To demonstrate today, I've got my son who's been rowing now, basically just last summer. So he's definitely a novice rower still, and I've been trying to train him along the way and give him these pointers, and which actually prompted, me to make these videos. I thought, well, if I'm training him and teaching some of his friends how to row, well, why not kind of come up with kind of like, I guess, a basic novice curriculum. So part two, here we go. Okay, a couple quick things about the Concept 2 rowing display screen. You hit menu, takes you to the original, to sort of the beginning. For today, we're going to hit just row, and we're going to keep our display, lots of different options, but we're going to keep our display at the most basic setting. It gives you some of the obvious stuff. Time is the top. Duration to get to 500 meters, we call that a split, is that second big number. Meters, that's total distance, and then strokes per minute, bottom left corner. All right, so Jonas is going to get started with a 1,000-meter warm-up. So we're warming up the muscles, we're kind of getting loose. And we're starting to think about those concepts, right? The 5 basic parts of the rowing stroke. Once again, it's broken up into 2 main categories. The active part of the stroke, which is the drive, and the more passive part of the stroke, which is the recovery, right? Subcategories of the drive are the lock and leg drive. Part 2, the swing. And part 3, the release. 2 subcategories of the recovery are coming up the slide, or the recovery formally, as well as the catch. Again, the catch is part of the recovery. I'm going to say that a bunch of times over the next few videos. And again, if we focus on one body part per section of the rowing stroke, first of all, that simplifies the whole thing, gives you one thing to focus on. And if we pick the right body part, that hopefully will get a whole lot of things together and help you avoid, pitfalls. So again, we're warming up for 1,000 meters. We're focusing on sort of all the different parts of the stroke. We're getting familiar with those 5 points that we talked about. I'll start with point number 1. At the catch, we're focusing on compression. The body part is the hips compressing to the ankles. At the lock and leg drive, we're focusing on the lower part of the back. We're connecting the lower part of the back to the chain. The chain will move when the lower back starts to drive backwards with the legs. You do not leave the chain behind because they are connected. The next part, we swing through with the belly button. We're using the next set of muscles of the core to generate that second phase of power. About 30% of the power of the stroke is the swing. It's a pivot in the hips. We're focusing on the belly button. Final phase of the drive is the release. If we focus on the weight and that pressure on the bottoms of our feet and ending the stroke, once we stop feeling any weight on the bottoms of our feet, that'll keep our chest high. It'll accomplish a lot of things. It'll keep our chest high. It'll keep us in communication and in contact with the rower or the boat. And it'll keep us from kind of throwing our weight too far forward. We're talking to the bow of the boat, or too far, to the right here, and wasting sort of time and energy. The recovery is all about the opposite order of operations. If you focus on just that feeling of a small stretch in the backs of the knees and not bending the knees until you feel that sensation, well, what do you accomplish? Well, the arms have to go forward first. You've got to swing forward first before you bend the knees, and the order of operations will fix itself. All right, we'll let Jonas finish his 1,000-meter warm-up. We'll come back in a sec. All right, we're back now, almost to the end of the 1,000 meters. A couple more strokes to go. First phase, 250 meters. We're going to focus on compression. We're going to get our hips to our ankles. What are we trying to accomplish here? Hopefully, if you focus on that one piece, well, you won't fall into the trap of overreaching or lunging at the catch, because you'll make up all that ground you need for the stroke simply by getting the legs ready to drive. You're trying to get your shins to 90 degrees, no further. Jonas, you're probably a little bit past 90 degrees. I think you're still past 90 degrees. So compress with there you go. So right now we're focusing on that sensation of compressing. We're focusing on bringing our hips to our ankles. Next 250, we're going to add on to that. We're not going to lose our beautiful catch and compression and form. We're going to add to that. All right? We're going to connect our lower back to the chain. We lock and then drive our legs. Next 250. Focus on that body sensation, that picking the weight of the fan, of the chain, of the boat with your lower back, not your shoulders. If you connect your lower back to that chain, there's no way your butt can shoot out with the chain staying back at the catch. All right, next 250, we're going to focus on the swing through. What body part is that? It's the belly button. We're connecting the chain now to the belly button. Our back is done. Our leg drive is done. Swing through with that belly button. Connect that chain, the next part of your core, directly to that. I may have misspoken there. Connect that belly button directly to the chain. Okay, coming up on 1750 here. For the next 250, we're going to focus on the release. The release, once again, occurs right when you stop feeling weight on the bottoms of your feet, right? So you're pulling for that last phase, that last 10% of the stroke. You're pulling with your arms and you're maintaining connection. Once that connection to the machine is done, you're done pulling. Coming up on the last 250, the fifth part, is going to be the recovery. We're not forgetting about the prior parts, we're adding to them. The recovery is the opposite order of operations. We focus on the backs of the knees. Tiny bit of that sensation, that stretch, that tells us when to bend the knees. This is all about preparing for the catch, which then sets us up for the lock and leg drive. If we're not prepared for it, we'll be behind. We'll have to lunge or fall into one of the pitfalls. Okay, big shout out to Jonas for finishing that workout for us and demonstrating what to do. That is the conclusion of our second video, which contained the first actual rowing on the rower workout of the series. Okay, so a couple quick pointers. We saw Jonas at one point go past 90 degrees with the shins. I think this first set of videos is really all about big picture. We can sort of fine tune and nitpick all the different phases to death, but we're really trying to focus on just one, pressure point, one body part, one area of sensation, whatever you want to call it, per area of the stroke, so that it keeps it sort of simple. We can make this as complicated as you want, but I think somebody who's never been on a row before would really easily get overwhelmed, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So there are going to be some things that you need to fine tune along the way. Obviously that being one of them for Jonas as he was coming up to the catch there. He was probably lifting his heels too far off the rower and probably taking my advice a little too literally about bringing the hips to the ankles. Yes, you want to bring your hips to the ankles and compress to get to that catch, but not when your shins are actually going past 90 degrees. So anyway, things to work on, things to fine tune. The other thing is we're going to do a third video, which will be the second workout. And we're going to use that split time that you obtained when you did the 10 hard strokes to sort of guide us on some additional harder pieces that we're going to do in the next video. So we did that hard stroke set of 10 strokes at a rate of 20 just one time. You could do it several times really at the end of that, that 2,500 or 2,250 meter original piece. So anyway, lots to play with. We'll get back to you with a third video here, which will be a second workout. Okay? Hope you learned something on this one too. Bye.